So we already know that Obsidian's Fallout is going to be a complete disaster. Get with the program. Everyone knows that this is happening. Stop pretending that it's going to be otherwise. And the best part about this situation is Obsidian's still, sadly, our best chance at getting an even remotely decent Fallout game. Honestly, I shouldn't say remotely decent. Not a complete piss poor dog water type of Fallout game. That's our best chance, and it's Obsidian at this point. Yes, the bar is set extremely low. By the way, we know that the new Elder Scrolls 6 could be probably completely raw garbage, and we know that Fallout 5, which is going to be made by Bethesda themselves, is guess what? Gonna be completely ass. That's probably honestly gonna be the worst of them. Because we do not have any leaks currently about Fallout 5, what's going to happen, what the story is going to be like. We have a theoretical leak for a long time where Fallout 5 is going to be based in, and that's probably Boston still. But at the same time, we do have a lot of contextual clues about what's going to happen in Fallout 5 because Bethesda's going in one very specific direction, and it's pretty obvious with what they're planning and what they're doing if you pay attention to everything else that's surrounding the Fallout franchise. So that's going to be bad. And now there's the Fallout 3 remaster and the Fallout New Vegas remaster. They're not probably going to be garbage. They're probably going to be worse than the Oblivion remaster because you bet Todd's currently extremely pissed, honestly, considering everything that has happened. He has been humiliated. He is currently punished Todd Howard, for God's sakes. And Todd is a very spiteful loser, obviously. So he cannot live with the idea that the old Bethesda was better than the current Bethesda because he's still the current Bethesda. So he probably, in my opinion, will sabotage the Fallout 3 and New Vegas remasters because he did sabotage the Oblivion remaster. He initially thought that, oh, the Oblivion remaster, it's just everyone's living off the nostalgia copium. So he just released it, and everyone loved it. And after that, Todd Howard, I would assume, probably told everyone just, yeah, we're not fixing it. No one's fixing a single bug or you're getting fired. That's kind of what I assume happened, because everyone is begging Bethesda to fix the Oblivion remaster, and the game just does not run at this point properly without a substantial amount of mods that fix all of these issues. And the average person, again, is not going to download mods, even if they're easily available and automatically installed nowadays, even. So, Oblivion is just kind of a showcase what's going to happen to New Vegas and Fallout 3 remaster, and obviously it's going to be downgraded. But there's no way you get to choose between male or female. You're body type A and body type B now. So that's the bare minimum of damage that that Bethesda is gonna inflict on the remakes. And even if it's okay, it's gonna be a buggy mess and it's never gonna get fixed. So the remakes are also pre-cooked.
Today, I want to talk about what's happening with the Fallout remasters. We got the confirmation from Bethesda, but with that, we have one remaster we can look to last year to start to gauge expectations. It's a conversation that I've been getting a lot of questions on is, when do you expect these to arrive?
Smart.
Of course, Fallout 3 a little bit more obvious than something like New Vegas. What changes are you expecting? And especially with something like 76, which is leaning into Fallout 3 with its prequel story, can we expect something similar to that with New Vegas remaster when that comes around, and what would that look like? I've got predictions a mile long for you, so let's not delay any further. If you're new here and you're into what's going on with Fallout, for real, thank you for the support. It's kind of like old times. It's really cool seeing people get nostalgia for the Fallout coverage that we've been doing here. It makes me feel really warm and happy inside. I've been enjoying this so much, man. So just thanks for being here. And if you are new, welcome aboard. Get subscribed. All right, so this video topic got added to my list because I was just scrolling IGN.com as one does, and I saw a whole article written about Todd Howard posting on Reddit. And so this is his Reddit post that you're seeing on screen, him just saying, I'm a professional lurker, but we get a lot of our ideas here, and it was just good to go out and speak with the community a bit. And
oh, I know what this is. By the way, Todd saying that he gets his ideas from Reddit, that's even a separate video. It's true, by the way. Todd literally gets his ideas from games from Reddit. The typical Redditor thinks Tenpenny Tower is a fundamental fucking moral unsolvable dilemma. No wonder these games are so bad at this point. And by the way, the funny thing is, this is one of the posts that I have found quite a long time ago. People are pretty much just burying Todd. But this is, by the way, probably not actually Todd Howard. Todd Howard's probably dead at this point. But all of the replays to this are pretty much like, fix the Oblivion remaster. It doesn't even work any longer.
Now everyone's asking for Oblivion remastered patches. And this felt like a perfect opportunity to just start teeing up some expectations here. On a separate note, before I get into that, I know a lot of people are clowning Todd for the, obvious thing that's happening here, which is Asha Sharma clearly saying, get out there and talk to the audience some more. I do think, though, two things can be true at once. One, I think Asha definitely is having Todd and co step out, announce their plans as part of recovering the public image a bit with what's happening with Xbox, but also on top of that, I think it's important for fans to have something to be excited about. But at the same time, I will also say that it's good for Bethesda to have someone like Todd out there talking more consistently. Many of us are left guessing and speculating because we have nothing else to run off of. Nonetheless, let's just go back to Oblivion Remastered real quickly. I've done a ton of coverage for this game, but for those who missed it, around its launch window, I did enjoy it. I mean, I love Oblivion. It's one of my favorite games of all time, of course, but the remaster itself just progressively gave me more issues. And I remember when I first tried to speak about that, a lot of people were upset with me, saying I was kind of just raining on their parade. So a year later, I made a retrospective title on how Bethesda still hasn't fixed a lot of the key issues with Oblivion.
It's been a year, by the way, since the remaster. That is wild.
Remaster, and this doesn't really get into the design of the game. I'm just talking on a technical level. It is in a lot of ways a great looking video game. It's fun to play, it's fun to explore. Again, I absolutely love Oblivion here, but with some rough performance and some frequent crashes, at least on PC, it deterred my experience and a lot of others out there where it kind of ended up being a little bit disappointing. Like, I remember the moment so well. It was so exciting, like, oh my god, it's out right now, I'm diving back in, I love Oblivion. But once that was all said and done and the hype wore off, reality set in, and a lot of us were like, well, I didn't get to log as many hours as I wanted to because it was just becoming a pain in the ass to play. This is the rock and the hard place that I think Fallout 3 and New Vegas Remastered are trapped between right now, where, yeah, we need these ASAP. It's been a while since we got true new Fallout content. These should have been done a while ago. But at the same time, there was no one really pressing for Oblivion Remaster. We just saw it in the FTC leak and we're like, oh, interesting.
Oh, and by the way, for the people who are thinking, no, the Fallout 3 remaster, the Fallout New Vegas remaster, they're going to be as good as Oblivion. And, like, the bugs, let's just ignore the bugs for the conversation for now, right? Well, the thing is, Oblivion is like super old and a lot of people don't remember it. I personally never played it. I played Morrowind. But Fallout 3 is different. People remember it. I still remember playing it and a lot of things about it. And the thing about the Oblivion remaster is people made a big deal about the body A and body B type stuff, and reasonably so. It's woke propaganda and garbage, obviously. But there was an unbelievable amount of censorship happening in the remaster of Oblivion, actually. Every armor pretty much just got vulcanized. Everything. So, Fallout, when the Fallout remasters happen, the same thing is going to happen there. They are going to completely tidy up everything. There's not going to be a single armor that exposes a single point of flesh, probably, even at that point. I'm assuming a lot of dialogue is going to be removed. A lot of things are going to become family friendly and whatnot. It's going to be something.
I wonder when that's going to arrive. And then when it finally did, it had those issues. So now we've got time working against Bethesda and likely Virtuos Studios. And not only that, but polish has never been either of their specialties. And they're working as fast as possible, where I do worry just a tad about the fate of the Fallout 3 and New Vegas remasters. That said, I'll break that down some more with release date predictions. I want to focus on gameplay changes because when you look at Oblivion Remastered, it was brought more in line with the most popular Elder Scrolls game in Skyrim. There were new visuals, a sprint button was added, UI elements were moved around a little bit more to match Skyrim. For example, the compass bar is usually in the bottom corner of the screen in OG Oblivion, but when you play the remaster, they made it the top center like it is in Skyrim. They also changed some other things like animations for combat, your attacks, or when you hit certain enemies, the way they react to said attacks. They kind of overhauled the leveling system where you can freely assign attributes to things like strength, intelligence, etc. And all of these skills that you're leveling up now, both major and minor, do contribute to leveling up. Oblivion had it where your major skills would fly up quickly, whereas minor skills originally did not contribute to your character progression. So your major skills would go up quickly, your character level would go up in turn, but much of your other skills would then be too low and you'd get smushed. So basically what they attempted to do was remove the need for grinding minor skills to kind of get your character stats to where they need to be. People got mixed feelings about it, but it does show they went into the actual design of the game. And then they also, after the launch,
that's technically, I guess, like one of the best and only things that they really did
of the title, with one of their 2 major patches, added in a new difficulty option because still, even after the design changes, the balancing for damage was still not great, especially when it came to enemy health, because it all just runs off of multipliers, and as you go up in difficulty, you just do less damage and they have more health, and that's basically it. With this in mind, I feel like Fallout 3's remaster is going to follow a similar trajectory. Like if we put them kind of in a row together here, Oblivion to Skyrim, and then Fallout 3 into Fallout 4 and 76. And when you study those later Fallout games, I think what Bethesda is going to do is basically extract all of those modern Fallout mechanics and put them in the Fallout 3 remaster. However, as I was putting together my list, I went, this is way more.
Okay, do you think the perk system stays the way it is in Fallout 3, or does it get upgraded to New Vegas, the better perk system? Or does it get upgraded to Fallout 4 where the perks didn't matter? What do you think they're gonna do? Because they're probably changing the perk system. I imagine that's one of the things that they're gonna do, because Fallout's never been really balanced in any major way. It's either you're just smart enough to put the fucking points in the gun type that you're using, or you're not, and the game's hard.
More, way more than anything Oblivion Remastered had to do, which could be a bit of a scary task for Bethesda. For example, there are simple things like aiming down sights. It's not in Fallout 3, it's in New Vegas, so it's time to give Fallout 3 its own ADS system, obviously. I think a new crosshair is obviously going to be added in. Originally in Fallout 3, it was just this little kind of notch in the center of your screen. I think it's going to be something now that kind of spreads when you're moving, it closes when you're standing still, that sort of thing. Traditional first-person shooter crosshair. I think you're going to be able to do things like, say, equipping a grenade at the same time as having a weapon. For those who haven't played Fallout 3 in a while, you would have to switch weapons literally with hotkeys, or pause the game, go into your Pip-Boy, equip your grenades, throw them, and then switch over to, say, your laser rifle and continue shooting. I think you'll be able to do both at the same time as you can in Fallout 4. No doubt sprinting is going to be added to the game. That's in Fallout 4, that's in 76. It's something that they added to Oblivion.
Honestly, say what you will, Fallout has some of the better looking grenade explosions in gaming,
because they thought it would fit modern RPGs. That said, I'm a little bit against it when it comes specifically to Fallout 3, because I do think this game has perfect world exploration pacing, like just the pacing of wandering, that moment of looking at your map bar, trying to find out where something exactly is, and then seeing it in the distance and the anticipation as you approach it, like, what is that? What is that? I think Fallout 3 does that the best almost out of every Bethesda game, right next to Skyrim, and I feel sprinting and getting there really quickly kind of ruins the anticipation. So yeah, I feel like you can count on sprinting. Stealth options come into the mix. They kind of tried to redo some of the stealth for Oblivion, and I feel like Fallout 3 could utilize some of that. I think VATS is going to function now in real time. I always liked pause VATS. It feels a lot more true to the OG Fallout games, and real time isn't this super controversial thing. I just personally have a preference. I think the idea behind VATS and how it was used in Fallout 3 and New Vegas was the shooting in these games isn't that great, and so you actually lean on that more as a mechanic, where in the later Fallout games, You kind of just use it when you don't feel like aiming. You're like, I'm just gonna, especially in 76, there are some builds where people are just straight up like hip firing across an entire building and just doing like crit damage, and it kind of trivializes it, where I feel like VATS in the older games when it was pause and actually like think about where you want to.
Wait, what? Hip fire in 76? I'm pretty sure no one almost uses regular fire in 76. All I have seen is people just use VATS constantly because you have an infinite amount of them almost.
Shoot them. It was super useful. Still, I think they're going to do it in real time now. Obviously, there's going to be new visuals. This is one that I think they need to be careful with. Fallout 3 has a particular visual style that was critiqued back in 2008, but I think has aged remarkably well. One thing Fallout 3 does an excellent job of is, I think, capturing the kind of grotesque nature, the deflating, depressing nature of the wasteland, right? And if there were pretty blue skies as there were in Fallout 4, I think that would be a major loss. Now, I personally defend Fallout 4's vibrancy because a lot of the game is built around the idea of rebirth and hope, and I feel like that kind of color palette and the brighter skies capture that on a lighter level. But Fallout 3 is not that, dude. It's just a dirty video game. People are dirty. The world is dirty. It's all messy. It's Fallout. It's completely Fallout. And I feel like with a new weather system, which I think they'll also add in here, I could deal with the occasional clear skies, but I do appreciate, especially nowadays, Fallout 3's more green/brown appearance. I think it really sells the nastiness of the wasteland alongside the characters. And if they started to clean that up too much, I really do feel like it would take a lot of the soul of the game with it. So I don't mind, do your whole Unreal Engine 5, make the armor.
Fun fact, you can disarm the bomb in Megaton always, no matter what. I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter what kind of character you do, as long as you just eat a Menta.
Look shiny and prettier and more detailed. I'm cool with that. Character models can have more detail, sure, why not? But just, I think the world space itself...
Is he searching for the hollow stone?
Should not be cleaned up too much. I don't remember the last time y'all played Fallout 3 or New Vegas in third person, but the third person camera is not very good compared to that of, say, Fallout 4, where it can rotate around your character, whereas in something like Fallout 3 or New Vegas, you can kind of jog diagonally. It's pretty hilarious, but I feel like this is something that with the reworked animation system, you'd have to rework this camera. Do we keep the old power armor system from Fallout 3 and...
People have been debating about this, and this is actually a very good question. I personally hate Fallout 4 power armor, because Fallout 4 power armor is effectively just a statement, hey, this is the shit you're supposed to do, which kind of makes stealth builds almost irrelevant, because, I mean, you're playing a fucking stealth build in a giant tank. That's stupid. Okay? Obviously, there's options, but I don't like the fact that power armor is the end-all, be-all in the game. I like it when builds actually allow you to not use power armor, and Fallout 4 kind of made it a little bit too much power armor.
Vegas, where you just have it as a piece of equipment, or is it more lore accurate, like you see in Fallout 4, 76, and of course the TV show, where it's like a tank that you step into and move around in, and there are fusion...
A tank that has this extremely peculiar weak point that only one person knows about, and you can kill them with one shot because of it, because reasons, I guess. That kind of power armor, yes.
Cores that you use to power it. I'd like to see Fallout 3 adapt this.
By the way, canon, that's literally canon if you're wondering now.
I think this is one of the very great things that Bethesda did with the power armor system. It makes me wonder a bit if they're going to take that layered armored system from Fallout 4 and bring that into Fallout 3. I wouldn't hate that either. I personally really love some of the clothing in Fallout 3, and I hate that sometimes you have to choose between the clothing and the layered armor on top of it. So I personally would not hate that at all. That said, I think the power armor system will determine a lot of that. But as you can see,
the layering is such a better system, and that's, by the way, just a remnant from Morrowind, effectively.
I'm going with a lot of these new additions to Fallout games. There's things like in 76 that they added with an update, loot pools. Like you kill a bunch of enemies, you loot one of their bodies, and it just loots everyone in the general area. I personally do not want to see looter shooter elements added to the remaster. I don't think they would do this because they want to keep the game as you remembered, but it's just important to cross our T's, dot our I's here. Look, man, I don't mind going around and looting one body at a time. I think Fallout 3 is beautiful for a myriad of reasons. One is because you can complete the video game. This does not need a legendary gear system where I can endlessly raid super mutant camps in the capital wasteland. I'm good on that. So I hope the changes are just, you know, visual and basic mechanics, that sort of stuff. But that's kind of the list I put together here. And then the question with all of this is if they're willing to take another step forward, because then I look down the pipe at something like Fallout New Vegas. Okay, famously made in 18 months, a lot of content that's been talked about. Would they ever add that back in, right? They added new NPCs.
The answer is most likely yes.
Into Oblivion, new voice actors and actresses. They kept the old ones. So could you add some content back in? I personally wouldn't hate that, but also doing anything new with New Vegas, if I'm them in the building, I'm like, hey, we just make the game here. Like, let's not tempt fate and do anything too crazy. Now let's talk release dates here. Bethesda basically told us at least the release year for Fallout 3 Remastered, let alone you'd have to think the date given that they're celebrating Fallout Day in Washington, D.C. But there's always the world of possibility that they drop that remaster some other point in the year, and then later on in the year, they hold their celebration with Fallout fans on October 23rd in DC. But let's just go with the assumption right now that it's exactly what we think it is, which is Bethesda is going to give us the Fallout 3 remaster October 23rd next year. Assuming Virtuos is working on this remaster, we're looking at rolling 2.5-year-ish development cycles here. So if we get Fallout 3 by the end of 2027, again, that's about 2.5-ish years since the Oblivion remastered, and I can only imagine then we'd get New Vegas remaster by the end of 2029, the earliest.
I wonder if we're actually gonna get New Vegas remastered after Fallout 3, because it doesn't make sense. Even then, you kind of want to spread out the stuff. Like, you know, you do Fallout, then you do Elder Scrolls in some capacity, and then you do Fallout again, you know, stuff like that. It would be actually a shock if they released the remaster for one and then the remaster for another one. But how do you... It does seem like they're actually going to do it, because if you think about it, we currently have effectively 4 Fallout games and 1 Elder Scrolls game in the pipeline. So, you can't really put that all together. Plus, there's the TV show, which is a separate thing. It's very interesting how they're gonna do it. The old Bethesda would have never done anything like this. The idea that you're releasing Fallout and then Fallout again, yeah, that's not a real thing. But here we are, nonetheless, somehow.
I did not consider this in my initial reactions, that additional half year, I keep thinking 2 years, but the additional half year, if things go as planned even, could push this New Vegas remaster into early 2030, and it's a shame because I think for a lot of folks that's the one they're really looking for, and I think it's the one that the Fallout TV show wants to capitalize on the biggest. But famously, as we know, Fallout 3 and New Vegas do share a ton of assets. That's the main reason why New Vegas was able to be made in 18 months. So it's possible, same deal here. New Vegas remaster will take less time because if all of my predictions were correct, they spent the bulk of the time on the Fallout 3 remaster, adding in all those new mechanics, adding in all those new bells and whistles, and then New Vegas is just, hey, same gameplay, different world space, which is pretty much outside of the hardcore mode. And then, of course, New Vegas did add aim down sights. Like, it was basically the same thing. People called it Fallout 3 DLC for a reason. It was very great Fallout 3 DLC, but still, that's what folks called it. So I'm thinking late 2029 for the New Vegas remaster in a best case scenario. So I would prepare for that, but I would love to be surprised if it actually went much quicker because of the Fallout 3 remaster. Now, with the remasters in mind, it's clear 76 is still part of this franchise's future, and I did want to talk about what they're doing right now.
For now. It's gonna be until the season 3 of the TV show gets bumped out, and then it's probably not gonna be, and it's gonna shut down.
Which I have to say, I'm not in, but I find it interesting. It's a way to get my attention, right? You're playing off of the Fallout games that you already know I love, which is something that...
By the way, the 76, I don't want to talk about 76 because it's garbage, literally useless. An aberration upon God's green earth. But I really want to know what kind of lore they do with 76 with Raven Rock, because you know it's gonna be something that just destroys Fallout's 3 lore. You know it's gonna be something that just completely makes Fallout 3 redundant and uncanonizes it or whatever. You know that that's gonna happen. Also, 100% there's gonna be like some kind of added thing about, oh, this is their main base, but actually the Enclave is everywhere, because we know this. We know this because of the TV show. And this is how, by the way, we also know what's gonna happen in Fallout 5.
Again, when 76 first came around, this is what we expected. Like, oh, play into Fallout 3, play into New Vegas, play into Fallout 1, 2, Tactics. Like, fill in all the gaps in the lore, all these stories, all these characters with your effectively prequel era, always online video game. Like, that at least could be a sales pitch to a hardcore Fallout fan. So when they announced like a prequel story for Fallout 76 that involves Raven Rock from Fallout 3, I was like, okay, cool, I'm in. But that made me think, if they're doing that in time for the Fallout 3 remaster next year, see where I'm going with this? What are you doing with New Vegas then? Like, is New Vegas going to take advantage? It's got to, right? Like, this is the main thing 76 is here to do. I'm sure 76 will also take advantage of the Obsidian-led Fallout game, because one thing Bethesda did do that I don't think...
Technically, we can spread this all out, by the way. So first is the Fallout 3 remaster. Get people fucking hooked back then, obviously. Then it's the TV show. And a 76 update. And after that, it's Elder Scrolls 6. That would be like year 3 in this lineup, or year 4-ish. And after that, it would be the Fallout New Vegas remaster. And then it would be Fallout, Obsidian's Fallout, which is, I don't fucking know, Fallout New Vegas 2, probably. And then it would be, it kind of would probably have to be something related at least to Elder Scrolls. And after that, it would most likely be Fallout 5. That is a realistic timeline that kind of makes sense in the releases, because they don't want to release 5 Fallout things and then 1 Elder Scrolls thing.
A lot of us are ready to accept is a quintuple down on 76 support, even in light of all this single player stuff. So with that, what could they do with New Vegas, right? Like, so many of its major factions, nations, events don't stretch as far back in a lot of ways, where at the point that 76 takes place, you could venture out and see the early days of that. Also, one thing New Vegas did a great job of is all these stories you did hear about. You know, I think about Elijah, how you hear about him a lot through Veronica. And they built the whole Dead Money DLC, and you really just get his complete story, and it's absolutely excellent. So that's one thing that New Vegas did so well. And another example, of course, is Lonesome Road, right? You hear so many times throughout the main story about another courier, and then you learn about Ulysses in this final DLC for the game. So they really filled all the gaps. So maybe they don't do something with New Vegas Remastered. It would just feel like a real missed opportunity. I mean, remember the time Bethesda was getting destroyed for their Fallout 1 subscription when they first introduced this, and they literally tossed in there like an NCR Ranger outfit, like, hey, remember this game you care about? Like, here you go, man. Like, we got you. So what could they do involving New Vegas? I only have one idea, and it's kind of rough, I won't lie to you all. I was thinking a little bit about how Mr. House talked about uniting the gangs of the Wasteland into the Strip. So the Slitherkin became the Omertas, a cannibal tribe would serve as the White Glove Society, and the Mojave Boot Riders would become the chairmen who run the tops. Now, New Vegas takes place in 2281. The renovation of the Strip began in 2274, and Fallout 76 is set in 2102. So the only thing I got for you is...
Oh, it's his video that's lagging for the moment. I doubt it's not.
Maybe you adventure to the Mojave for something else, some different story, but you see the origins of these Strip gangs. Perhaps they're just common enemies out there, since it won't be another 100...
Bruv, don't let it lag. Theoretically, this could happen, but I kind of honestly really doubt it if I think about it, because there is an obvious factor here, because this would be the only Fallout game in that case which would have a concrete ending and would technically not have any deviation, because you would know the outcome of the events that happen. You would be just there kind of living them out, which would Be kinda ass because that just implies Starfield level of, oh, you can't even attack these NPCs and nothing happens. It would involve that, and people would hate that. Now, granted, I don't think something like this is off the menu because Fallout 5 is most likely not gonna have choice. One of the big things that's gonna happen with Fallout 5 is, which is almost guaranteed, is Fallout no longer is gonna be just these isolated stories where you get just hints of lore drops that the other Fallout games exist. Okay? You know, you're not gonna get Fallout 4, the Replicator Man references, and things like that. It's gonna be a story, and then it just goes on in the next game. Fallout 6 is also a story that builds off of what's happening. We again, I don't want to go too much into it. That's probably for tomorrow. But it is pretty much certain that that is gonna be how Fallout changes. That it's gonna be one singular storyline that gets pushed forward from starting with Fallout 5. In any case, that was Mr. Matty Plays. 10 out of 10. Have a nice day. Bye.